everyone at the Down Under Centre. My name is Tanya Coyne from Perth Resume. My professional background is as a degree qualified HR manager, and I've been in human resources for almost 20 years now. And today the conversation will be regarding why professional resumes and just some helpful hints and tips, obviously, when you're applying for a role within the Australian market. Now, first and foremost, why a professional resume? Well, the thing is, obviously, we specialise in writing resumes. We do about 10,000 of them each and every year. I personally consult with universities and different industry leaders and recruiters extensively, to really understand what's going on and how to make our applicants stand out. Our goal is to create an absolute point of difference for yourself and really just make sure that you're in the top 10% of all applications that you're applying for, if not better. But that's absolutely our goal. Now, with regards to, narrowing it down, why a professional resume? So ultimately, as mentioned, it's all about creating a point of difference. We want to make sure that your documents are in line with best practice. So, things like making sure that your document is less than 5 pages long for a resume. Usually it's about 2 to 3 pages, but really depends on your role in industry. Sometimes if you're an academic or, have senior experience, we do add in things like projects, publications, and so forth. So that can increase that page count a little bit. Other thing as well that we need to look at is making sure that your new resume is in line with our national employment standards. So we don't want to see photos. That's a big no-no in Australia. No date of birth, no marital status, no pet names. We've seen all types within resumes, but we certainly want to keep it to the point. It's all about how your education and your experience and how it's going to meet the requirements of the company whose role you're applying for. Anything that's not related to that, it could be political views, anything, anything that's different from that, we obviously want to take out of the resume. The other thing we want to make sure, and this is a really, really important factor, is that your new resume and cover letter is ATS and HRMS friendly. So basically keyword rich. Most companies now, especially if they are medium to large size companies, use a form of tracking software to really go through your document before the recruiter actually sees it. So I'll go into a little bit of detail with regards to how to do that, but just your awareness of that and obviously our knowledge in with regards to ATS and HRMS is an enormous advantage. Now, the other thing is when we write all of our resumes and cover letters, we're all degree qualified professionals. Most of us, including myself, have been doing HR for many, many years. So we're always writing it from a HR perspective. Ultimately, when a recruiter is looking at your document, it's them that you're trying to impress. So things like, making it really impactful and engaging, having that strong professional profile summary at the top. They say, and this is a pretty good reflection or rule of thumb, recruiters make an initial decision within 30 seconds to 2 minutes. So they're looking at, is this person the right person for us? So we just want to make sure that it's really captivating. We've got the main information straight away, and that the way that the document is laid out is really, quite pleasing to the eye as well. And also, as mentioned, we want to make sure that your documents are modern and engaging. So we do add a little bit of color in there. A lot of it does have to do with, unconscious biases at times. So we certainly don't want to include red color in your resume. But we do, like to include blues and teals and so forth, because on a subconscious level, it can evoke professionalism, calmness, and so forth. So there is that psychological component to our professional resumes as well. Now, I will move on to ATS and HRMS systems, which I briefly mentioned before. And this is just general guidance and advice. We actually do have a fantastic blog about this in more detail on our website, perthresume.com.au. So if anyone does want more detailed information, please do have a look on there as well. But basically, what is ATS and HRMS? It's an applicant tracking software or human resources management system. And as briefly mentioned before, it's the way that it works. It scans your resume and inputs the data into computer. When the recruiter is looking for a particular role or keyword, they'll have then the ability to select a particular scope or a particular keyword, and then it will basically shortlist these applicants for the recruiter. So to give you an example, let's say I'm recruiting for an accountant, and I definitely want that accountant to have MYOB experience. So what I would do is I'd type in accountants, that's my scope, and then I'll put in MYOB and 0 experience. Now, what that HRMS system does is it scans the documents and only shows me the clients with these particular the applicants with these particular keywords. And you obviously, with such large volumes of applications, almost all companies now use this or have some kind of internal system in place. So obviously with the professional resume, we do the research, we look at, what the role is, what the requirements are. A good way to also know what types of keywords the recruiter will look at is also have a look at the actual job advertisement. They'll have a section which says about you. It's quite a great point of reference to have a look at, what type of keyword that they'll be searching in, and making sure that that's reflected both in the cover letter and the resume. Things to avoid in your resume, I know I briefly touched on this, but please no graphs, no tables, no images. This can really impact the capability of the ATS or the HRMS system, and it might not be able to actually, read the text within the document. So we always make sure that we don't use that. If you are applying for other countries, like we have a lot of clients, apply for American type roles, UAE, sometimes that they have different systems in place which do allow for this. However, in Australia, we say no photos, no graphs, and no tables. The other thing that I thought is a really important factor to note, one of the biggest websites in Australia when you are looking for work is seek.com.au. Obviously, that's where you'll upload your professional resume and cover letter when you're applying for roles. Just something that a lot of people don't talk about. You might meet all the requirements, but be aware that Seek in itself is a HRMS system. So if you put in a salary that's far exceeds what the salary requirements of the particular role are, the system's automatically going to put a cross next to your name and send it to the employer. So just be mindful of that. I always say try and go a little bit less than what you'd usually want, just to get your foot in the door or get that call. And then obviously when they've seen your fantastic capabilities, you can discuss salary with them. But just don't put yourself out of the market by just going too high with the salary requirements, because again, Seek will just put a cross next to your name if it's outside of the scope what the employer is looking for. Now, just on a final note, some other helpful hints and tips. When we create a professional resume and cover letter for yourself, the cover letter, if it is, we usually do it as a speculative cover letter, so you can tweak it as you apply for different roles. The tip with that is each role, as mentioned before, has an about you section. Please make sure that you meet those requirements and that you tweak the cover letter to reflect those requirements. So they might say, let's say it's a customer service role and they say you need 3 years experience. In the cover letter, you would then slightly tweak that and say, I have 7 years experience, etc. So we'll do a lot of the foundation work, and then you just simply build on that as you apply for the other positions. Now, the second point, if you're applying for government or public sector roles in Australia, you must use the STAR method, which is situation, task, action, result. Again, it's something we specialize in. We do it, day in, day out. So certainly something we can help you with, but just please note that you can, on 99% of the times that you hand in a submission, if it hasn't used that STAR method for a public sector role, you'll not be considered because you're not meeting the requirements of the submission. And lastly, don't be afraid to shine. Obviously, we want to add in things like any awards that you've had, any recognitions. We tend to write resumes that are achievement focused. So even if you've exceeded something, or you exceeded your KPIs for the year, anything like that, will work with you throughout the course of the week to gather that additional information. But we want to make you shine. We really want to highlight all of those great things that you've done in the past, so that you do stand out, because ultimately that's the goal of a professional resume, is to just give you the absolutely best chance of presenting yourself in an engaging and impactful manner in front of the recruiter. Well, thank you so much for your time, and wishing you all the best of luck, and hopefully we'll cross paths in Australia. Bye.